I will say, I have to say that with moving here to Gambia, I definitely gained a lot more than what I expected. And I actually was expecting a lot. I was very hopeful, and I was expecting a lot of positivity to be manifested in all of our lives. So I'm going to start with the most dramatic part, because this is the part that is actually most meaningful to me, and it had the most drastic impact on my life. I was born and raised in the United States, and I actually hadn't been outside of the US until moving here to Gambia. But when I was living in America, I want to say at least for the past 5 years, I had been suffering with anxiety. I was living with anxiety, and I don't want to go too deep into that or what the triggers were for my anxiety, but I will say that I was living with anxiety for at least 5 years. So I was hoping that I would be relieved of a lot of that whenever we moved here to Gambia. I'll say that was at the top of my list as far as expectations. I kind of was expecting to still have that anxiety for a while. And I wondered like how long it would actually take with me being in a more peaceful environment to be able to heal from a lot of that, to be able to heal from a lot of the anxiety that I had. So my expectations were that maybe it would take like a few months for me to overcome like the anxiousness and the different things that would trigger my anxiety. So the reality of that was actually as soon as I got here to Gambia, I was very surprised that literally I noticed like the next day I was not anxious. I didn't have anything trigger my anxiety, and I still have not had anything trigger my anxiety. And I've been living here in Gambia for 5 months now. So that's me and my personal experience. And it's just, I don't know, like I said, I didn't know like how long it would take. I knew eventually that inshallah I would have overcome like a lot of the anxiousness that I had in my life, but I just didn't know how long it would take. So like I said, you know, literally like I moved to Gambia. The next day I woke up, and it just being in this peaceful environment and not living in fear, a lot of the fears that I had, you know, when we were living in the US. So I will say that was my first expectation. Was I was hoping that eventually I was expecting to be able to escape like the anxiety and the anxiousness in my life. And the reality was that I was blessed to be able to experience that like a lot sooner than what I actually expected. The next expectation that I wanted to talk about was the fact that I actually expected not to be able to find like a lot of the foods that we were used to having in the US. I'm a big foodie, and I like to call myself a healthy foodie because I'm definitely obsessed with healthy food. When we were in the US, all of my shopping was organic as far as my produce, fresh fruits, and vegetables. When moving here to Gambia, I wondered if I would still enjoy the food, the fruits and the vegetables and all of the healthy food as much as I did in the US. I didn't know like what to, I knew that there were obviously healthy foods here, but I just didn't know what to expect as far as the quality. Like, I know that sounds ignorant, but I was worried or concerned about the quality of the food. And it's just, you know, trying to imagine something that I had no idea about what the reality was. And our family actually moved here to Gambia without visiting first. So I didn't know like what to expect as far as the food. The natural fruits and vegetables here in Gambia, I cannot even describe how amazing, delicious, and fresh they are. Definitely better than the organic foods that I was buying in America. Sorry, you know, that's just the honest truth. The fruits and vegetables, the produce here is just, you cannot imagine like how good they are. They're just very delicious. So that was my expectation, was that I would have like lower quality food, and the reality was it was the opposite, definitely. The next expectation that I wanted to talk about was I actually expected to struggle or not be able to find a lot of items that we had in the US. So I will say items as far as like clothing, I expected that there wouldn't be that much of a variety here in Gambia. And then also like household items like furniture, you know, pots and pans for the kitchen, a blender, smoothie blender, because like I said, I'm a big healthy foodie. So like I like to make a lot of smoothies and things. So I was expecting to not be able to really find those things, or for it to be difficult to find those things. And that wasn't the case at all. That was kind of like my concerns, was like not being able to find items or not being able to find quality items. And the reality of that was I actually found everything that I was looking for. Okay, so this one is a really big one. I expected to be referred to as African American by the Africans whenever we moved here. And that actually wasn't the case. I was kind of disappointed to find that they don't even consider us African at all. They don't consider Americans, black people that move from America. They don't consider us, I can't even say it. They don't consider us African. And I was talking to one of my African friends, and I was explaining that like we're kind of African, we're just American. And you know, she was like, "You're American, like you're not African. Are you from here?" And I said, "No, like I'm from America. You know, I'm American, but I'm African American." And she said, "We don't say that, like African American. You know, you're American. You're from America. You're American." You know, and I was a little bit offended, but anyway, that was the reality of that. So I expected to be referred to as African American, or I expected to be like kind of like accepted as kind of being African, but that wasn't the case. Like we're just considered American. I actually have not heard that term African American since we moved from America. They don't use it over here. You're either African, Gambian, whatever, wherever you came from, they address you as that. If you come from America or you were born and raised in America, they call you American. They consider you to be American. So that was one of the things that actually really surprised me and kind of disappointed me at the same time. But the next expectation that I wanted to talk about was how I expected to be accepted amongst the African community. So I was really nervous about that. I was really nervous about how like we would be accepted amongst the African community, not speaking the language or anything, like how we would fit in. I kind of didn't expect to be so welcome. Like I thought that people would be kind of distant because we're not from here. I was very, very surprised to find how warm and welcoming the Gambians are. They're very, very warm and welcoming, and they want to get to know you. Like they'll ask you your name, they'll ask you where you're from, they'll ask you your children's names, and they're very, very friendly and welcoming. And that made the transition here so easy for me and so easy for my family and my children. So easy for my children to make friends also. They're just very welcoming. So I didn't feel like pushed away at all, you know, by the local people that are here, by the local Gambians. So that made it a really, really easier time fitting in and transitioning than it would have been if we weren't so welcome here. So shortly after we moved here, I was telling my son Adam, he's 13, and I was telling him, don't go too far, you know, because I was afraid that he would get lost, like basically in the neighborhood, because there are not like street signs and things. So I was afraid that he would get lost. So I told him like, don't go too far. But of course he didn't listen, and he got lost. He got lost, and he was actually lost for like an hour, which for me, that was very terrifying because, you know, we were in a new place. I want to say we weren't even here for 2 weeks yet, and we didn't know anyone. But anyway, he ran into a young guy, and he was trying to describe to him where he lived. Anyway, this young boy ended up walking with my son. He walked around like for an hour with him. to help him find his home, help him find where he lived, and until he found like familiar places and Adam was able to get home. So that was just really amazing. That was really amazing, because like I just wouldn't expect a complete stranger to do that. But yeah, the people, they will go out of their way to help you, especially like if you're not from here. It's like they will definitely help you. They'll go out of their way to help you, make you comfortable, or if there's anything that you need that they can help you with to make your transition easier, they definitely will do that. So that was something that I didn't expect, and it was the beautiful reality of being here. Alhamdulillah. So those were the expectations versus reality for myself. And I wanted to talk about a few of the ones that I had for my children, because, well, you know, I always like to say in my videos that I'm a mother of 8. I try to say that in every video in case, you know, like for the new people that come that haven't been watching before, they will know that, you know, this was a huge transition for my family. Like there were a lot of different age, like my oldest daughter, she's going on 19. And then my son, he's 13. And then I have a 10-year-old, a 8-year-old, 7-year-old, a 4-year-old. I have a 3-year-old, and I have a 5-month-old. Okay, so those are the various ages of my children. So, you know, with moving and our transitioning, so it wasn't just like me and my husband, the adults, but then we have like the children, and then mashallah, we have the children, and then we have like all these various different ages. But I will say that my top concerns with moving were my 2 oldest, my daughter Aaliyah, like I said, she's 18 going on 19, and then my son Adam, he's 13 going on 14. And my expectations, I'll say like my expectation for my daughter Aaliyah was that she would have a lot more difficult time transitioning with being here. I expected it to take like a little longer for her to be able to make friends. And the reality of that was like the first few weeks that we got here, she made friends so fast. It was almost funny. Like I could not believe how quick she made friends. And, you know, literally like almost every few days she was going to the beach with this new friend. She was going to the restaurant. She was just like hanging out, she was invited to people's homes for lunch. And, you know, it was just such a blessing, such an amazing and beautiful reality, almost like every mom's dream come true, really, like for your child to be in a place that they're comfortable in their own skin. They're comfortable to just be themselves, and, you know, getting along well with the people, and making friends, and just being in a healthy environment. So I will say that that was just amazing, like with my daughter. And okay, so that's Aaliyah. And for Adam, it was the opposite. So I expected him to have an easier time making friends. That might be like, I don't know that if that's like kind of naive, because he's a male, and I don't know, obviously I don't know about being a male, but I just expected him to make friends a lot easier. So that wasn't the case with him. He wasn't comfortable like getting along with the boys in the beginning, and it was a more difficult transition for him. Although he liked being here, and he did say that he liked Gambia, and he understood like he's in a safer environment and everything. But as far as like really making friends and getting along with the boys that are here, I believe that like the cultural differences, it was really difficult for him, that transition. But right now, alhamdulillah, he's more comfortable, and he does have some friends. He made friends at the Quran and Arabic school that he goes to, and he's a lot more comfortable. And, you know, as time goes on, he's becoming a lot more comfortable. So like my girls, the 3 middle girls, the 10-year-old, 8-year-old, and 7-year-old, they made their friends once they got enrolled in the Quran and Arabic school. But prior to that, the cultural differences with the girls around their ages, it was a little bit funny, because like we had, so my daughter Layla, she's 10, we had a girl over that is the same age as her to visit, and it was kind of funny, you know. But like the girl came over to visit, and she and Layla were just sitting on the couch, and they weren't talking. Like I say, it was funny. Now it's funny, but I was concerned at the time. I was just like, oh man, are they really going to be able to make friends? Like, this is going to be hard. I think that they didn't know what to talk about, And because they come from different backgrounds, I don't know, but it was, that's just like what happened. Like they were just kind of sitting there like looking at each other, like I don't know if they were wondering what each other was thinking. But anyway, she ended up making friends with this girl at school. They had to get out of the house, which I'm so grateful and happy that I decided to put my children in the school, the Arabic and the Quran school here, so that they could learn the local languages, and so that they can make friends and be more comfortable with being here. So they definitely, I remember like the first day that they went to the school, we were walking home, and the school is literally like behind my house. But we were walking home, and they were telling me like how many friends they made, and they were saying like this one, she made 2 friends, she made 3, this one made 6 friends. It was just really funny because like they made friends really well at the school. So I'm so happy about that. But that was the reality of those, you know, for my children, as far as like what I expected them to experience with transitioning, with being here, versus like the reality of what it was. But I will say, I have to say that with moving here to Gambia, I definitely gained a lot more than what I expected. And I actually was expecting a lot. I was very hopeful, and I was expecting a lot of positivity to be manifested in all of our lives. And I can confidently say, alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful to Allah that I do feel like I got even more than what I was expecting with being here. We moved here. We actually had not been here to visit. We had not been outside of the United States. My family has not been outside of the United States. I'm saying like me, myself, my husband, and our children. So when we moved from the US, we moved here to Gambia. But yeah, so like I really just feel like we got way more. We got way more than what we expected to be able to gain with moving here to Gambia. So I'm just very grateful, very excited, and I'm very hopeful for what the future has to come with living here in Gambia.
Such a beautiful day out here, mashallah, today. Yeah, we're gonna go walk to the rock tower. We're just going to get some exercise.
Wait, Mommy says. Wait, Mommy says.